If you're struggling to drop body fat, you likely are missing one of these key fundamentals. One of them you probably know, and one of them you're probably ignoring. So I want to walk you through both, and you can identify which category you're in and which one you need to maybe consider a little bit more, because these have been really, really prominent with the clients we've worked with. And we've worked with thousands of clients. We see these patterns coming through all of the time. So this gives you a nice first step to really realize both parts rather than being the one trick pony. So I'm going to walk you through the first one, which is you've tracked or you've gone through a diet, you've done some form of tracking or restricting of calories that really allowed you to put yourself into that deficit, get some initial results, but now you're stuck. You probably notice your energy is lower, your recovery and overall mood is lower, and your cravings are probably through the roof, right? The trouble is you got some initial results. It reinforced that was a good first step, but you weren't able to sustain it. You've either put the weight back on, you're really struggling to maintain. The big part here is that you clearly know that restriction or that thermodynamics, playing that deficit game worked, but you're not considering how the body works as a whole. And really, when you confine the body down into calories in, calories out, you're 70% right and you're 100% wrong. So the awareness I want to place on this is really looking at, well, what are those other bits that we need to support, right? Hormonal function, that overall gut health, being able to look at just from a cascade of chemical impacts of every time you drink or eat, there's a lot of nutrients, there's a lot of requirements of that body. And if you just look at it through calories, but you're not considering colors and nutrients and all of the stuff that allows your body to function at a high degree, you're probably going to feel kind of crappy. So my transition or my recommendation to you here would be count colors, not calories, which sounds really fluffy, but brings it back to a level of focus on whole foods and nourishing the body with foods that you feel good on. The trouble with most people when they go into this restriction of calories is they have a strong urge of cravings that come with it, and it really starts to disrupt a lot of those very natural mechanisms in our body of when we feel hungry and when we feel full. And if we don't focus on that nutrient aspect of replenishing or very much fulfilling those minimum needs of protein intake, micronutrients like zinc and magnesium and copper and things like this, to just allow that cellular function or overall systemic function of the body, you're going to notice that things feel drained and things don't work in the same way. So that big focus towards fundamentally getting your body back on your side, focusing on this fueling and replenishing piece first, does need to be a really strong step. And I can give you hundreds of examples here where we've moved away from the restriction and tracking of all calories and more moving towards that consideration of stress, sleep, and toxicity. So really looking at how are we digesting foods? Are we getting enough good quality sleep? How stressed and anxious are we throughout the day? And really addressing some of those other factors that play a vital role in our body playing ball. Being able to drop body fat and really sustain it long term really allows us to look at those other pieces of the pie. So that's category number one. Do you feel that you're in a position where you've played the restriction game, the calorie counting game, and you need to address some of the other factors of health? If that's you, I'm going to drop the gut reset below. That's a 4-week plan that allows you to go through understanding how much of a role gut health plays, some of the key tweaks and refinements you can make to really reduce that toxic load or inflammatory stresses on the body to just feel better, reduce cravings, and get your body back on your side. Once you've got that into place, you'll notice that there's a lot more awareness towards how your body feels, the signals your body's already telling you, and really able to actually just feel good in the process so you don't feel that it's so short term. So that's category number one. Category number two is you're in a position where you know that quality of foods makes a big difference. You're focusing on whole foods for the most part. You may be even going gluten or dairy free, and you're doing all these things to nourish the body. And energy is probably good. You probably feel really good, but you're just not dropping body fat. So this is where it's going to be contradictory, or at least showing you both sides, which is if you're eating really well, but you're not dropping body fat, we still need to consider the thermodynamics rule here, which is creating some form of deficit to drop body fat. Now, the only way to do this is not restriction of calories. We need to look at increasing some form of output. And if you're supporting hormonal function, you're sleeping well, you're managing that stress through the day, you have so much more to work with. But being able to apply some form of how much are you eating still needs to be there. And to go back, rewind 4, 5, 6 years ago now, I was doing, for about 4 or 5 years, doing a whole bunch of bodybuilding shows and photo shoots and things where I was getting down to very low levels of body fat. And I don't just mean like 12 or 10% body fat, I mean, 4 or 5%. And I tracked calories for like 3-4 months at a time, getting ready for these certain shoots or shows. So I had a really, really good understanding of how much calories I was eating in a day, and I knew how to create that deficit. And the reason I bring that up is now I don't track calories. I have probably 80% of the time I track my protein. I know what my protein target is, and then I toggle my fats and carbs based on my energy requirements for the day. But I say that to bring awareness to, you can't skip one step to bring awareness to step two. Tracking for some period of time is really vital to giving you that awareness of how much you're eating. How do I tighten things up a bit when I want to drop body fat? How do I give myself a little bit more fuel to work with when I'm going for a run or a mountain bike, whatever it might be? And having that ability to toggle, that awareness and confidence to know you're right, has to come from some form of tracking. So looking at whether it's simply tracking protein for a period of time, tracking a full macronutrient profile, i.e. your protein, carbs, and fats, or whether it's really going down the calorie route and making sure we can truly create that deficit by tracking those calories. You don't have to do it forever, but doing it for a minimum of 2 weeks gives you so much more awareness and true numbers behind how much you're fueling the body. So that becomes, I guess, a strong recommendation if you are fueling and looking at that health overall, but you're missing that thermodynamics piece that's going to play a role. Once you've done that, and like I said, that's 2 weeks, so it's not do it for the rest of time, it's bring awareness to how you're fueling your body. Once you've got that right, we need to also address the exercise piece. And if you've been watching our training for a little period of time, zoom out here for a second, what we're really looking at here is the fat loss 5, right? First category, if you're just looking at calories, we need to address sleep, stress, and toxicity. That whole gut health piece, that recovery piece. Whereas if you're in a spot where you've addressed that or you're fueling the body quite well, you feel that's nice and healthy, we're now looking at nutrition and training through really a tracking piece of, are those metrics in place to actually create a form of deficit? And then to really create something long-term that lasts, we need to look at smarter training. It's not just going for a couple runs or doing a mindless workout. There's a staged progression to really effective training without just making it a longer, harder workout. And if you haven't gone through our workout reset, that could be a really great place to start at looking at understanding the variables that you can place to exercise rather than just doing a longer workout or working out harder, to make sure that you're eliciting enough of a difference to make a difference, right? If you do the same workout for 6 months, don't expect to look different. You got to change the change, right? So making those adjustments, creating new challenges on the body, therefore new stimulus on the muscle, therefore allows that afterburn effect and ability to drop body fat long term, right? So through today's training, I very intentionally created a conflict between category number 1 being all about calories and category 2 being all about gut health, and really understanding that both of them play a role together if you truly want to get the results you want last long term. Now, if you're in one of these two categories and you're getting results already, I'm not sure why you're watching this video, but awesome, keep doing the thing. But for most people, really addressing both in an intelligent fashion together really becomes the best of both worlds. And I'm not a fan of extremes where, keto over here and high carb over here. It's probably somewhere in the middle, right? It's an ability to find out what's intuitively best for you that you can sustain long term and is truly effective. And when we understand thermodynamics, we understand health, we put the two together, we get a lot more awareness of how do we get your body moving forward. There's a lot here, right? And if you feel like you don't know where to start and you want support to go through these steps, then that's where coaching comes in. That's where we're world-class at helping you go from where you are to where you want to go, really understanding what's going deeper under the surface with your blood work, understanding how that fits into your lifestyle, and building a progression that you can really sustain for a really long period of time. That's where the value of coaching comes in, so that you can still perform at a high degree at work, you're still present for your kids at home, and you got a plan that makes sense for you. So if you want to skip the DIY stuff, you want to dive into working with us directly, then again, I'll drop a link below, or go to our main website and just have a chat to our team. We can walk you through what that would look like, going through some steps to show you what different support systems we could put in place. And I'd love to see how we can help there as well. But hopefully, at a minimum, today's training gave you a lot more awareness of the key steps you can put in place to get your body back on your side, and where potentially your blind spots are that really can elevate you to the next level. Hope you're doing great. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.